Jake lived on the edge of known space, far from any busy planet or trade route. His home was an old mining station that floated alone near a dead moon. Most people had forgotten this place existed. The machines inside were rusty, the lights flickered often, and the food supplies came from storage packs older than him. But Jake didn't mind. It was quiet, safe, and it was the only place he had ever known. He didn't remember where he came from. All he knew was that someone found him here as a little boy, inside a broken escape pod. No family, no name, no records, just a small child with a strange bracelet on his wrist and wide, curious eyes. The old eye on the station, called Core, had raised him like a parent would. It taught him how to repair machines, grow food, and survive. "You are special," Core used to say. Jake would always laugh. "Special? I'm the only human here. I don't even know what planet I'm from." Years passed. Jake grew tall and strong. His hands became skilled at fixing things. He could fix broken bots, hack old systems, and even bring dead machines back to life. But he never left the station. No one ever came, until one day, a loud crash shook the ground. Jake ran outside. Smoke rose in the sky. Something had fallen. Near the mining site, a small shuttle, broken and burning. He rushed to the crash, his heart pounding. Maybe it was pirates. Maybe it was someone in trouble. When he reached the ship, he found her. An alien woman, badly hurt, lay inside the wreck. Her skin was a pale silver blue. Her uniform was torn, marked with strange symbols. Jake didn't hesitate. He pulled her out and carried her to the station. He didn't know her name, didn't know what species she was, but she needed help. He cleaned her wounds, gave her water, and wrapped her arm. When she finally woke up, she stared at him in shock. You're human," she whispered. "That's what Core told me," Jake replied, sitting beside her. "Who are you?" "Lena," she said, her voice weak. "I'm part of the Valari Empire's Royal Guard." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Royal? You're some kind of princess." She smiled a little. "Not quite, but I serve the Empire. We were chasing pirates when they ambushed us. My ship was hit. I barely made it out." She looked at him again, her eyes narrowing. "You're strange." "Gee, thanks," Jake joked. "You crashed into my front yard. I saved your life, and I'm the weird one." Lena sat up slowly. "No, I mean, your presence. Machines react to you." Jake looked confused. "What do you mean?" "The ship's core started to flicker the moment you touched it. Even your station feels different." He shrugged. "I fixed things. Maybe that's all." But Lena wasn't sure. Later that night, when Jake slept, she scanned his bracelet. The symbols on it weren't human. They were ancient and imperial. "This can't be," she whispered. "This marking belongs to the lost bloodline." She sent a quiet signal from her repaired comm device, a simple scan, a simple request. She didn't want to worry him, not yet, but if what she saw was real, then Jake wasn't just a forgotten boy on a mining station. He was something more. The next morning, Jake made breakfast. Lena sat at the small table, watching him. He laughed, flipping a pancake with a spatula. "So, Royal Guard," he said. "You planning to leave once your ship's working again?" "Yes," she replied. "But I may not leave alone." Jake raised an eyebrow. "You want me to come with you?" "Maybe," she said. "If what I think is true, you won't have a choice." He looked confused. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before she could answer, the station lights dimmed. The eye's voice spoke through the speakers. "Incoming ships detected. Imperial signals. High rank. Preparing for contact." Jake dropped his fork. "Wait, what?" Lena stood, her face pale. "They got the skin results already. They're here." Jake blinked. "Why? Who are they looking for?" Lena turned to him, her voice serious. Jake stared out the window of the mining station. Small lights in the sky grew larger every second. They were ships, Imperial ships, big, smooth, and painted with the royal gold and blue colors of the Valari Empire. Lena stood beside him, her hand resting near her sidearm. "You need to stay calm," she said. "Calm?" Jake asked. "They're coming for me. I don't even know who they are. They're Royal Scouts." Lena said, if my scan was right, then you're not just some lost human. You're something forgotten, something that shouldn't exist anymore. Jake shook his head. This is a mistake. I fix machines. I'm nobody. I can't even remember my real parents. Lena turned toward him. You might not remember, but your blood remembers. The station trembled as the first ship landed nearby, thus flew into the air. The loading ramp lowered, and armored figures stepped out. Jake counted 6 of them tall, in silver armor, with smooth helmets hiding their faces. One of them carried a scanner. The other held a symbol, a golden crest with a star in the center. Royal Inspectors. Lena whispered, they outrank me. Jake backed away from the window. What do they want? To confirm who you are. Or maybe, to take you? Take me where? Lena didn't answer. She didn't have to. The doors opened. The guards entered without knocking. The one with the crest stepped forward and looked at Jake. Subject J70 to confirmed. The voice said through the helmet, energy signature detected. Ancient bloodline verified. Jake frowned. What does that mean? The leader removed his helmet. Underneath was an older alien man with deep blue skin and tired golden eyes. It means you are the heir of a forgotten throne, he said. Jake laughed. Me? No way. I'm not royalty. The older man didn't smile. Yet the systems don't lie. The symbol on your wrist belongs to the ancient Alliance one that once ruled half the galaxy. Your blood is the key, and many have waited for it to rise again. Jake looked at Lena. You knew? She nodded slowly. I wasn't sure, but I had a feeling. The other guards placed devices around the room. A low hum began. Blue lights scanned the walls, the floors, and Jake himself. Why now? Jake asked. Why show up after all these years? Because we were watching, the older man said. And we feared the truth. Jake sat down, rubbing his face. I'm just a guy who grew up fixing things. I'm not a leader. I don't want a throne. That may be, the inspector said. But others will not care what you want. They will either follow you or try to destroy you. Those words made Jake feel cold. He had lived in peace for so long. Now, suddenly, he was at the center of something huge, something he didn't understand. The scanner beeped. One of the guards turned toward the older man. Report, the man asked. The old eye is protecting high-level files, the guard replied. But the system responded to Jake's presence. There's locked data, possibly memories or hidden history. Lena stepped forward. Can we unlock it? Only he can. The guard said. Jake stood up and walked to the console. The eye's soft voice spoke. Hello, Jake. Access granted. Welcome, Guardian. Jake blinked. Guardian? The lights dimmed. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed a younger man and woman human standing in front of a great fleet. Both looked strong and proud. Behind them were thousands of alien leaders. Ships hovered above them. The screen read, Alliance of Stars Year 4120th woman in the image looked straight ahead. If you are seeing this, her voice said, then the bloodline has survived. Our son lives. Jake froze. That's my mother. Lena covered her mouth in shock. This is real. The man in the hologram stepped forward. We knew enemies would betray us. They feared humanity's role in the galaxy. They feared balance. But we left a chance, a hope. Jake, if you were out there, rise not as a king, but as a light. The image ended. The room fell silent. Jake sat down, shaking slightly. Everything he knew about his life had changed in one moment. What now? He whispered. The old inspector stepped forward. We bring you to the capital. The council must see you. If you are truly the heir, they must decide what happens next. Jake looked at him, then at Lena, then at the stars outside. And if I say no, the man didn't blink. Others will come. Not all as peaceful as us. Jake took a deep breath. Fine, he said. But let me say this again, I'm not royalty. I never wanted this. The inspector gave a small bow. And yet, the stars remember you? The capital ship was massive. Jake had never seen anything so big in his life. It looked like a floating city in space, with towers, lights, and long golden wings stretching from its sides. As the shuttle carrying him and Lena approached, Jake leaned against the window, silent. Are you okay? Lena asked. No, Jake said softly. I'm not. One day I'm fixing broken drones, and the next I'm told I'm heir to some ancient alliance. This feels like a dream. You're handling it better than most would, Lena said. I think I'm too confused to panic. The shuttle docked with a low hiss. The door opened to reveal a long hall filled with bright lights and smooth, polished floors. 2 guards in blue armor waited for them. Jake followed them down the corridor while Lena walked beside him. As they moved, other officers stared at him, some bowed slightly. Others just looked shocked. They think you're important, Lena whispered. That's the problem. Jake replied. They think I'm someone I'm not. The hallway ended at a grand chamber. Inside was a circle of tall alien leaders, each from a different world, some with glowing skin, some with wings, others with sharp eyes and long robes. They sat in silence, watching Jake as he entered. A woman with silver scales stood. You are Jake, son of Alara and Tyron? Jake nodded slowly. I think so. Their blood flows through you, she said. And the systems confirmed your identity. Do you understand what this means? Jake shook his head. No, not really. An elder with horns spoke next. You are the last link to the ancient alliance, before it fell. Humanity helped keep peace. Many feared that power, and so they erased your kind. Or so they thought. Jake looked around. I didn't ask for any of this. I just want to live my life. Another council member, a bird-like creature, leaned forward. And yet, you were found. The old systems activated. Some among us believe this is no accident. Others may not feel the same, said Lena quietly. Not everyone wants the alliance to return. Jake stepped forward. Look, I'm not a ruler. I'm not trained. I'm not even sure who I am. If you want a leader, maybe look elsewhere. Silence filled the room. Then the horned elder stood. What you are, Jake, is a symbol. One that brings hope or fear. Some will follow you. Others will try to end you. Great, Jake muttered. That's comforting. The doors opened again. A messenger ran in and handed a device to the silver-scaled leader. Her eyes narrowed. It started. A war fleet is on its way. Who? Asked Lena. The Crimson Dominion, she answered. They believe the return of the Alliance threatens their power, and they want to destroy Jake before the galaxy accepts him. Jake's chest tightened. So now people want to kill me too. Yes, the elder said, and we must choose. Do we protect you, or send you away to hide again? Jake looked around. Everyone waited for his answer. He thought about the mining station, the lonely nights, the broken drones, the quiet. He had been safe but forgotten. Now, people remembered. Now, the galaxy stirred. I can't run again, Jake said. I don't want to be king. But if I hide, others might suffer. The council watched him. I'll face this, Jake said at last. But not as a ruler, just as someone trying to fix what's broken. Lena smiled. That sounds like you. The silver-scaled woman nodded. Then we stand with you, and may the stars guide us. Jake stepped back. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something else. Responsibility. The Crimson Dominion ships appeared near the outer rim just 3 days later. Red, sharp, and heavy with weapons, they didn't hide their arrival. Every scanner in the capital lit up with warnings, from orbit to the surface. Tension filled the air. Jake stood on a high balcony inside the Alliance Tower, looking out at the sky. Even from here, he could see the streaks of red light moving through the clouds above. Warships, fast and angry. Lena walked beside him, her armor polished and her eyes serious. They're not just here to scare us, she said. They're here to remove you. Jake turned toward her. You know, every time I start to feel normal, someone new wants to destroy me. That's because you're not normal, she replied. Not anymore. Jake didn't answer. Deep inside, he still felt like the boy who fixed broken lights and fed scrap bots on an empty station. But now people treated him like a key to something ancient, something dangerous. Behind them, the council gathered in the war chamber. Alien generals spoke in low voices. Maps floated in the air, showing enemy movements. The Crimson Fleet was closing in. What do they want? Jake asked as he stepped into the chamber. The silver-scaled leader pointed to the glowing map. They believe your bloodline threatens their rule. They build their power after the alliance fell. Now, they fear it rising again. A bird-like general added, if we fight them, others will join. But if we surrender you, the galaxy might. Remain quiet. Lena's hand gripped her weapon. We are not surrendering him. What if I go out there? Jake asked. Everyone turned toward him. What if I face them? He said again, not with weapons, but with truth. If I'm really part of this alliance, then maybe I should act like it. You go unarmed? One of the elders asked. I didn't come this far to hide behind soldiers, Jake said. Let them see me. Let them see I'm not a monster. The room fell silent. Then, slowly, the leaders nodded. Lena's single quotes S voice was quiet. Then we stand with you. Hours later, a small ship left the Capitol Tower. It wasn't a warship, just a simple transport. Jake sat inside, wearing no armor, no crown. Only his old jacket and the strange bracelet that had led to all this. Lena flew the ship, silent and watchful. The Crimson Fleet waited just beyond the edge of the moon. Dozens of ships hovered like wolves ready to strike. Are you sure about this? Lena asked. Not even a little, Jake replied. But I have to try. The ship landed on a neutral platform. From the enemy side, a tall figure stepped forward. He wore a red cloak and a cold expression. His face was marked with black lines, symbols of high command in the Crimson Dominion. You are Jake, the man said. That's right. You should not exist. But I do, Jake answered. And I didn't come to fight. I came to speak. The Red Commander narrowed his eyes. To speak, then. I didn't ask for this bloodline, Jake began. I didn't even know who I was until a few days ago. But I do know this: I'm not your enemy, unless you force me to be. The commander walked in a slow circle around him. Your blood carries old power. It threatens the Dominion. If you rise, others will follow. Maybe they should. Jake said, not to fight, but to stop fighting. The commander stopped. You would speak peace? Yes, not as a king, not as a ruler, but as someone who's tired of silence, fear, and broken systems. For a moment, the wind blew across the platform. Neither side moved. Then something strange happened. The ground shook slightly. A light pulsed beneath Jake's feet. Symbols appeared, ancient markings from the old alliance, glowing softly around him. The Red Commander stepped back. What is this? He asked. Lena stared in shock. It's responding to him. The platform recognizes his blood from the Crimson side. Soldiers began to whisper. Their ship's sensors picked up the pulse. It was not a weapon. It was recognition. The very structure of the ancient meeting ground bowed to the one it was built for. The commander's voice was quiet. We were told your kind was gone forever. Jake looked at him. Maybe it's time to remember, he said, and as the light rose around him, the Crimson soldiers lowered their weapons not by command, but by instinct. The light faded slowly, but the silence remained. Jake stood in the center of the ancient platform, still surrounded by glowing symbols. The Red Commander stared at him, unsure whether to kneel, speak, or turn away. Behind Jake, Lena stepped forward, her voice steady. This is proof, she said. The platform was built by the First Alliance. It only activates for a true blood heir. The Crimson soldiers watched closely. Their hands were no longer near their weapons. Even the commander's bodyguards looked unsure now. Jake wasn't. A warrior, wasn't armed, and still, the ground had recognized him. Jake took a slow breath. I didn't come to demand anything. I came to ask, why are we still afraid of peace? The Red Commander lowered his hood. His face was older than Jake thought, marked with both age and battle. He looked around at the glowing floor, then at his own people. Because peace is not simple, he said. It breaks power. It shifts balance. And balance scares leaders. But power without peace leads to more war, Jake replied. That's all we've had since the Alliance fell. The commander stepped closer. And what would you do if given power? I'd fix things. Jake said, not rule, not control, just fix. A strange expression crossed the commander's face. For a moment, he looked tired. worn out by years of fighting and guarding something he barely understood. Then, without a word, he knelt. One knee down, head lowered. And slowly, one by one, the crimson soldiers behind him followed. Lena's eyes widened. Even Jake couldn't speak. "You carry the light of the past," the commander said. "But maybe, just maybe, it belongs in the future too." When Jake returned to the Alliance capital, the council was waiting. News of the Crimson Dominion kneeling had already spread. It moved faster than any ship. Crowds gathered in the city square. Citizens of every race watched the sky, waiting. When Jake stepped out of the shuttle, a soft cheer rose from the people. It wasn't loud. It wasn't wild. It was respectful, careful, hopeful. Inside the council chamber, the silver-scaled leader stood. "You did something we never imagined possible," she said. "You made them kneel without a single shot." "I didn't do anything magical," Jake said. "I just told the truth. And the truth carries power," said the elder with the horns. "You awakened something older than war." Jake looked around. "What happens now?" The bird-like general spread his wings. "Other powers will come, some with questions, others with fear, and some will want to join." Lena smiled. "The Alliance isn't just returning, it's beginning again." The council agreed to send signals across the galaxy, calling for a new gathering of races. They wanted peace talks, rebuilding plans, and shared rule, not a throne, but a table, and they wanted Jake at the center. Not as a king, but as a symbol. In the days that followed, Jake visited the old halls of the Alliance. He walked through empty rooms, long untouched, filled with statues and carvings. Images of humans working with other species, building, healing, leading not with fear, but with unity. He sat alone on the steps of one old chamber. Lena joined him. "Do you really believe this can work?" he asked. "I do," she said. "Because you're not like the others. I don't know anything about ruling." "Good," she said. "That's what makes you different." They sat in silence for a while. Above them, a new banner was being raised over the Capitol Tower, one with the ancient Alliance symbol, and a new line written beneath it: "Hope has returned." Days turned into weeks, and the galaxy began to change. Ships from many worlds arrived at the Alliance capital. Some carried leaders dressed in fine robes. Others came with farmers, workers, and even curious children. They all wanted to see the one who made the Crimson Dominion kneel without war. Jake stood near the landing platform each day. He didn't wear royal clothes. He didn't speak with fancy words. He greeted everyone the same way, with honesty, with kindness. "He doesn't look like a leader," one alien boy whispered. "That's the best part," his father said. "Maybe we don't need old leaders anymore." The council prepared a grand meeting, one that had not happened in generations. It was called the Circle of Voices. Every species, no matter how small, had one seat. They would vote on a new path forward. Jake was asked to sit at the center, not as a king, but as a guide. He wasn't sure he wanted that. "What if I say something wrong?" he asked Lena. "Then you say sorry and try again," she answered. "That's what real leaders do." On the day of the meeting, thousands gathered in the great hall. It was shaped like a star, with each point leading to a section for a different race. Above them, a blue light glowed from a crystal once dark, now shining again after Jake's arrival. Jake walked in quietly. The room fell silent. He stood in the center, heart beating fast, and spoke. "I never thought I'd be here," he began. "I grew up on a dead station, with no family, no past. I didn't even know who I was. But now I do. Not because of blood, but because I listened, and because you believed." His voice was calm. "I don't want to rule. I want us to fix what we broke. Not just buildings, but trust." The crowd listened closely. "You all have voices," Jake continued. "Use them. Choose peace. Not because I ask you, but because you want it." The bird-like general stood and spread his wings. "I vote for unity." Others rose. Some cheered. Some cried. Even those who had once doubted Jake now saw him not as a threat, but as a chance. And the vote passed. The Alliance was reborn. The next few days were full of changes. Old laws were thrown away. New ones were written together. War fleets returned. To their planets, trade routes opened again, and the stars seemed brighter still. Not everyone was happy. A message arrived from deep space. Unknown ships were gathering. Not Crimson Dominion, not allies, something older, something silent. No name, no reply, just movement, quiet and large. The council grew tense. They might be watchers. Lena said, ancient ones who stayed hidden, or destroyers, one general warned. Waiting for weakness, Jake stood beside the star map, thinking, let them come. He said at last, but we don't meet them with fear. We meet them with truth. You want to face them too? Lena asked. Jake smiled faintly. That's what I do now, right? When the unknown ships appeared. They didn't fire. They didn't speak. They just floated above the edge of the system. Black and still like shadows. Jake took a small ship. Alone, Lena argued, but he insisted. She gave him a comm device and waited with her hand on her weapon, just in case. As he approached the largest ship, a strange energy reached out, not harmful. Just scanning, testing. Then a voice came, deep and layered. You are the child of the old ones. Jake replied, I'm just a mechanic with too much attention. You carry light in your blood. The balance has shifted. Is that good or bad? The voice paused. It is change, and just like that, the ships turned. They didn't attack. They left when Jake returned. The entire council waited in silence. Lena was the first to run up and hug him, surprising even herself. You're not allowed to keep doing things like this, she said. I'll try. He smiled. The silver-scaled leader stepped forward. They tested you, and you passed. I didn't pass anything, Jake replied. I just told the truth again, and that truth was enough. The galaxy slowly began to change. After the unknown ships left without a fight, many feared they would return. But days passed, then weeks, and nothing came. The silence wasn't empty, it felt like a sign. Like they had been watching, waiting, and now they approved. Inside the Alliance capital, Jake became a symbol of peace. Though he still refused any royal title, he walked through the markets without guards. He shared food with engineers. He helped fix broken bots in the maintenance zone. Too many. He wasn't just a leader, he was one of them. The children followed him sometimes, calling him Fixer Prince. Jake would laugh every time. I told you, he always said, I'm not royalty. But even those words became part of the legend. A statue was built not of a king on a throne, but of a young man holding a broken drone, standing beside friends from many species. Below the statue, the words read, he didn't rule us, he walked with us. The new alliance grew stronger. Old enemies began to speak. Planets once forgotten were invited back. Food and supplies were shared with the weak. Traders moved safely. Across borders that once burned with war, Lena stood by Jake's side through it all. She became more than a protector, she was his closest friend. They didn't always agree, but she trusted his heart. You're not a ruler, she told him once, but you're what we needed. What about you? He asked. What do you need? She paused, then smiled. I just need to make sure you don't try to fix an enemy ship with a screwdriver again. They both laughed. One day, the silver-scaled leader came to Jake with a message. There's one last system still cut off from the Alliance, she said. They never joined. They never fought. They just stayed silent. What do they want? Now, they sent this, she replied, handing him a cube. Jake activated it. A voice spoke. We never believed in thrones or empires, but we believe in truth. Send the one who carries both light and scars. We will listen. Jake looked at Lena. Looks like it's time to visit one last world. The journey to the silent system took 3 days. Jake went with Lena and a small group of peaceful envoys. The ship was not armed, just like the one he used when facing the Crimson Dominion. The planet below was quiet, covered in forests and rivers. No cities, no towers, just clean sky and soft wind. They landed near a wide field. From the trees, beings began to step forward, tall, thin, with bright green eyes and soft robes. They didn't carry weapons. They carried books. Their leader stepped forward and looked at Jake. You're him? I'm just Jake. The leader smiled. That is the name they said you would speak. They sat in a circle and talked, no weapons, no guards. Just words. Jake listened more than he spoke. He didn't try to lead. He just shared his story. He told them about growing up alone, about fixing machines, about being pulled into something much bigger than himself, and how, through it all, he stayed the same. I didn't become powerful, Jake said. I just stayed honest. The leader nodded. Then maybe honesty is the most powerful thing of all. The silent world joined the alliance that day, not because of promises or pressure, but because of trust. On the way back, Jake sat in the pilot's seat beside Lena. Do you ever think about what would have happened if your ship hadn't crashed on my station? He asked. All the time, she said. But I'm glad it did. Me too. They flew in silence for a while. Stars passed slowly outside the window. So, Lena said, what happens next? We keep going, Jake answered. Not as rulers, as builders, as friends. And so the galaxy remembered. Not the return of a king, not the rise of a throne, but the moment a boy with no past stepped forward, faced the stars, and changed everything with nothing more than truth, courage, and a heart that refused to give up. The alliance lived again. And Jake, the boy who once said, I'm not royalty, became something greater. He became the reason others finally stood together.